Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another Framer tutorial. Today we'll be talking about this interaction. Let's do that again. This is a button pressing down with the color change in the background. And then on the second page, you have two tabs on the bottom and a back button that takes you to the first page. So let's get started. In the descriptions, you'll find the starter file for this. I've laid out a simple structure for this design in the Framer design tab. There are two screens, screen 1 and screen 2. In screen 1, we'll have a button on the bottom that's called open. In screen 2, we'll have two tabs and a back button. So how do we lay this out? Well, it's quite simple. First, when you press on open, the screen moves to the second page very easily. Now there's already a built-in Framer function for that. It's called flow. So let's get started. You switch to code tab, flow equals to new flow component. Press tab. So you have a flow component already created. There's nothing in it, so we're gonna have to add stuff to it. So let's see. This is called screen 1, so we'll try to find screen 1 here. So next you do flow.showNext. This is the function that shows the next screen you want to see. Bracket. Screen 1. Well, right now it's returning an error with cannot find screen 1. That is because we haven't made screen 1 active. So to make screen 1 active, you got to click on it, the little blue dot beside the name, to make it active. Now screen 1 is active. So if you click out of it, you'll see that on the canvas, screen 1 is active. Boom. Right here, we have an interaction. We have the basics of this interaction, which is a screen on display, and next we'll have to make the button interactive. So right now when you click on it, nothing happens. Let's fix that. So you do the same thing with the button here. You click on it to make it active. Right now there's no name, so we were prompted to give it a name. Let's call it open button. Enter. So now open button is right here, highlighted on this column right here. That's basically the layer structure you have in Framer. So open button dot onTap tab start. So you see 3 of these. Let's go with tab start. So this denotes the interaction when the tab is starting. To quickly validate that this is already happening, we can just write a print function. Hey, look at me. Interacted with. This is just to validate that, hey, this is in fact happening. So once you tap on it, look, Framer prints this line, allows you to know that this function is in fact happening. In fact, if you close it, it will show you how many times this has been interacted with. So let's get rid of that because we know this is happening right now. The next part is to really figure out, okay, what do we do next? We want the color to change, to make it go darker so that the user knows that it's being tapped on. So there's a quick way to call upon the background, which is using @shift2 @background color. Here denotes to this object, which is the open button. So it's calling on the background color of this open button, and then let's change it to a different color. So right now the color is this. Let's make it darker. Let's say this color. All right, selected, go back to this by Command Z, and they have copy and paste it into place. And of course this is a string, so you have to add some quotes to it, and the pound sign. So right now, when you tap on it, look, it goes dark. Precisely what we want. But we don't just want that. We want it to go down a bit to indicate the press motion. This is easy. What you do here is that you simply go, you can actually go use at again. At Y. Y is the position of this button from this axis. So Y equals to at Y plus 2. So it's 2 pixels down. So let's see. Precisely what we want. Awesome. That's pretty much the interaction of the button being pressed. Now let's see the button go back into its original place when the press is released. And that's achieved by using onTap end, because as your mouse or your finger releases the tab, that's when the tab ends. So let's go like that. All right, so we just simply copy this over, paste it. Now, of course, very quickly you'll realize that the Y position will have to be shorter by 2 pixels. And the color will go back to normal here. So we'll have to copy the background color from the original button and paste it here. So now that we can test it, that's precisely the interaction we want. Awesome. All right, so let's connect it to the next screen, which is, okay, you want this whole screen to shift over and have the screen 2 show up. Framer already has a built-in function in flow.showNext. Remember, this is a part of a flow we're creating. So the first step of the flow is to show screen 1. The second step is to show screen 2. Now, screen 2 is not being recognized because screen 2 is not active. So let's click out of the canvas and then click on screen 2, make it active. But if you switch back to code mode, you will see that the preview now shows screen 2 without screen 1. This is because we haven't defined the ordering of events. So screen 2, flow.showNext, screen 2 is firing immediately upon the load of the prototype. So we want to hide it so that it only shows up after the tab has ended. So you simply go tab into it. There we go. So now that Framer recognizes that, hey, this function, this line does not execute until this thing has happened, which is the tab. So now release the tab, boom. A very simple transition from left to right to show this screen 2. That's precisely what we want. Let's move on to the next part, which is how do we go back? Well, here's how we go back. We have the back button built already, and similarly, it's already being highlighted, which means it's already active. It's called back icon. So we simply call on back icon.onClick, and then use flow.show previous, a bracket. We don't have to specify which one because it's always the same one. Screen 1 is where we started, so it's the default works. So let's test it out. Boom. Boom. Works great. After this, we will have to build the tab selection interaction, which is here. Now, let's take a look at how I built screen 2. There are 2 tap areas already selected on the bottom, and rectangle and rectangle. These are not good names because they don't indicate what's unique. So let's give them some good names. So tab 1, tab 2. All right, now we have 2 tabs. The interaction we want is that when we first load this page, tab 1 should already be selected. It should be the active state, which is the red state. So we can either change the background color of these things, or we can create another icon on top of it that has the color overlaid. So let's do that because it's much easier to have entire group already created. So let's copy this All right, paste in place. And let's give it a new name called red. And then let's change the color of this to reflect. So these two things will reflect the color of the button, since that's the active color. Great. And let's do the same for this, because as we interact with this, this will also become red. Let's do exactly what we did before, change it to red. And let's select. So command select allows you to select the specific layers inside a group. Oops, that's not the right one. Command Z doesn't seem to work. What is that? Never mind, let's just go with this one. There we go. All right, perfect. Now we have two layers. But to make them interactive, we have to highlight them. So the red parts, the red layers are being highlighted, which means they're active. So if we go to here, we'll see, hey, both of these are red. That's good. Oh, I know what happened. When I pressed the Command Z before, it actually undid my my code here. So I gotta show previous. Now that's a bug that the Framer team has to fix, but for now let's ignore it. Let's save. Okay, so we do that. Both of these are red. Let's change it. So we can either change it from the design tab and make this opacity 0, or I prefer to change it in the code tab, so I know what kind of default code I've written to get it to the default state. Now we can simply write magnify glass icon red tab dot opacity equals to 0. Boom, there we go. And then to switch back and forth, it's very easy. We already have tab 1 and 2 selected, highlighted, so we just simply do tab 1 dot onClick. Let's do tab 2 first, because on default it's already selected on tab 1. So tab 2 dot onClick. OnClick is similar to onTap. I can use them interchangeably. Now onClick just simply denotes the whole click. There's no differentiation between start and end. It's just the whole thing. So when we click this, the add icon red, so opacity has to be 0. And the magnifying icon red has an opacity of 1. That should simply do the job. Let's see. Boom. Exactly. Now when we click back, the opposite should happen. We can simply write a function like that. Tab 1 dot onClick. In fact, we can copy and paste. Let's copy and paste this. Change the value from 0 to 1 to 1 to 0. All right. Boom, 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 boom. That's exactly the interaction we want. You can simply save this and look at this. So the code part only took us about 5 minutes to write, whereas the laying out part took me about 10 minutes to really sort of get it right. So altogether, you can create this prototype in less than 15 seconds. And with Framer's quickly share, upload to cloud option here, you can quickly share this with your team in less than 30 seconds. So this is a really quick way to get a simple interaction going. I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and thanks for watching.